Oh, see, it's recording. Go.
It's
going.
Oh, well, it was mine when she came from Ireland. Oh, she was a baby. She was about 6 months or so, you know? And she was about the last one that family to come over, you know? And I guess the times were tough. We had to leave. You talked about it too. You remember, don't you?
What?
From Ireland?
Oh, yeah, when she was young.
Yeah. She said that the boat landed down in Broadway Station somewhere, and all the Irish settled down there. And went by St. Peter and Paul's.
I honestly remember when we were kids, that's all, you know.
Yeah.
But what did Ma tell you about her and how the family, her mother died?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what.
Whose mother?
That was so
Your
sad.
grandmother.
She died in County Hospital.
grandmother.
Yeah. And then she had, just like we always have something.
I don't remember Ma's name, I just remember Ma.
Yeah, I remember
No, but
that.
what did she tell you about her grandmother dying?
Yeah,
Questions, and then they probably can give you the answers, I mean.
yeah. But she was in the county hospital, Ma was, and she was having an operation. The operation was successful. Then they left her alone in what they call a beer. Is that they call it? Like when they sit you on the bed, like what they call it, a beer or something. And she wanted to reach for, she wanted to drink, and she saw the bouquet, and she went to get it, and she fell over.
Well, I guess when they were switching it from one
Yeah.
place to another,
Yeah,
she fell,
yeah.
right?
Yes, then after that
But
she
the-
died. And my grandfather was so mad, he thought they wouldn't. He went up there, he really was ready to kill him. He pulled the top off of one of the nuns, so they told me. Yeah, but that's about that. But
No, what do you remember about Patty?
But what?
About your grandfather?
Oh, my grandfather? Well, all I remember him is like, always walking Dorchester Street up to Broadway and stopping at every corner. And if you could see him, he'd stop and talk to you. Then I can remember my grandfather living with my mother, and he used to love my youngest brother, Jimmy, and Jimmy loved him all the time. Jimmy was his favorite, yeah.
he called Jimmy Seamus, you know? And he really did. He had somebody try to attack Jimmy one time, and my grandfather happened to walk by, and Jimmy, my brother Jimmy told that grandfather was ready to punch the hell out of him.
Oh.
What did he look like?
Things.
Irish.
I was younger than your mother remembers, so that, I mean, there's things that she remembers that I don't. But I mean,
But no,
as far as our parents go, we had great parents, you
yeah.
know.
But Grandpa Maloney was very handsome looking. He had high cheekbones and nice hair. Don't worry about that, my boat's coming in. He said there's going to be loads of money on the boat. And he said, you never have to worry again. And he used to talk about the sun and the sky or something. You remember that?
Good kids, I mean, my grandfather, Maloney, lived with my mother, but he used to like, his little home was downstairs in the cellar, and that's where he used to hang out. And then there used to be a furnace down there. This is what I remember.
Yeah, I know.
And so if he's a coal or something fell out of the furnace, grandpa upstairs didn't know that coal was lit, and it started the fire down in the cellar.
It was a slow
And eventually, we were having dinner or something, and there was smoke coming from underneath the door. And my mother saw the smoke. We ran down, and the cellar door opened, and all kinds of came out. So
That's the one time we had the police department.
and we all had to run out of the house. They called the fire engines, and I can remember we were all outside. My mother was bringing the ham; she was so nervous, and the firemen were tearing down all the pictures off the walls and things.
Yeah.
Is that?
It is, it's wonderful, I never heard that, I never knew that one before.
You didn't know that one?
No, I don't remember that one at all. Tell me about
Hello.
Ma's brothers and sisters.
Oh, yes.
And
Hey,
hey.
Oh, hey, you're finished there.
Is,
I feel like I'm being interviewed.
I finished up with Maloney. You want to play some?
How many brothers and
Okay.
sisters did Ma have?
I had quite a few. One of them died down the cellar, she told me, from a cat or something. I think the cat's throat. because somebody wasn't watching it, and the baby was in the carriage.
Oh, yeah,
on the
time,
cellar.
yeah.
And the baby was in the carriage on the cellar. In those days, they didn't have any chance to get out much. And the cat would then try to kill him, And then that was the one I remember her telling. But then she had Mary, Sister Mary. She was my Aunt Mary. Remember Aunt Mary, what a nice person she was? Well, Aunt Mary, what a nice person she was.
Oh, yeah, she was my godmother.
Yeah. And she was always fun. She would be telling you stories all the time and telling you what was. And it's a wonderful family. They're all full of fun. Jimmy Landers, remember?
Oh, yeah. And then that was Aunt Mary.
Yeah.
And she, my sister, she had an old-fashioned remedy for anything that ailed you. Anything, your feet or your head or whatever. And,
What kind of remedies?
Sulfur, molasses, there's another one. Fennel,
One time she put iodine on her hair because she thought it was going to make her hair grow better.
It turned out to be red.
But that was Aunt Mary's. Aunt Mary used to tell all about these flaxseed things you put on your feet.
Flaxseed salad, flaxseed seed, and apply it different places in your body. It was like a remedy.
Well, and she had a sister Sadie, right?
Oh, yeah, hi. Aunt Sadie was very nice, too. She's the mother of Donnie.
Well, tell the story about how she met Sadie.
Oh, yeah, at the graveyard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were both in the grave. My Aunt Mary was on top on his. They were both of them side by side. And the one that said, yeah, do I know you? So they found out they were the two sisters. There were two, Mary and Sadie were underneath, and Aunt Mary and Sadie on top. So that was quite a reunion. I think that's when it all started, Yeah. It was quite a family,
My mother also had a brother that was a lumberjack. Used to work with someplace around the forest area.
Upstate New York,
And,
they told me.
huh?
Upstate New York.
I don't know where it was, but anyhow, she used to like to try to keep in touch with him, but I mean, he was one of the uncles that we didn't know too well,
Well, didn't she have a brother that she never found?
Well, that was Jim. That was the one she was always looking for. Jim. And he's supposed to be a lumberjack up in upstate New York.
That's what I'm just talking about.
Is that the one that went on the adoption train? Didn't she have a brother that went on a train?
Train?
Yeah.
I remember that. I know they used to call him the one in upstate New York, Like my uncle, the cowboy. He was like one of those ones that piled up the big logs and everything like that, and Christmas trees and everything. So that's what she told me.
So she had a brother Jim, a sister Mary, a sister Sadie.
Brother Frank.
And where did Frank end up?
Frank was a page. He remember Frank Maloney? He was always laughing.
Yeah. When my grandfather died, that's where they had the wake.
Yeah.
At Frank Maloney's house.
At the house.
Huh?
At the house.
Yeah, and we just got to know those cousins temporarily. I mean, we knew them for a while, but then, like time goes on, we don't see them anymore, There was a Catherine and a Grace, right? Who else?
Mary was
But that was his wife.
Yeah, but there was Mary too, that won a picture in the paper like Patsy did.
Oh, yeah, the one that was married to was Sabina or something, that was connected with big supermarkets,
Where did they get your name? How did they end up naming you Lillian?
Huh?
How did Ma come up with the name Lillian? Did she ever tell you, had to do with anybody?
I know the story on that. Matt had a Lillian that died, and somebody else had a Lillian that died, and they were afraid to name my sister Lillian. And then Helen had a Lillian, they named her Rose, because they figured that St. Rose would help her out, and help her carry in Lillian. But it was always kind of not only that, but what made Lillian, my sister Lillian is so unique. Later on they made it called the Lillian Louise, which I thought was beautiful, after Pa.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about Pa and Pa's family.
Oh, probably. So that was my fun, because we used to stay there quite a bit.
Who's that?
Grandpa Malone, Grandpa Ceurvels.
Oh, Ceurvels, yeah.
He used to be dancing around all the time. He used to put the graphophone or what do you call it, put it on for me, and they'd be singing My Blue Heaven and songs. That was a fun thing. In the meantime, every day, he used to walk over Broadway Station, Boston, the Broadway Station, to Jacob Woods, to have a beer with Jacob Woods. Because he'd come over here with Jacob, and they kind of settled around that area, you know. It was really nice, remember that?
Yeah. All I remember Grandpa Ceurvels is that he was a small man
Yeah.
with
He
mustache.
walked like a Chinaman.
And when to high school, I used to take French.
Yeah.
So whatever I learned in French, I would try to talk to him in French, you know.
Because he spoke French?
He'd understand. Yeah.
There's more botherness than now than anything else. He always
He
said that.
understood me, but I didn't understand him.
So
I did.
he was fluent in French?
Well, he spoke French.
Yeah.
What about his wife?
Oh, no, she was Dutch.
Yeah.
That was the part of the family that I'm supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You know,
And she was
my
very
grandmother
lovable, very
Ceurvels.
What
sweet.
did she look like?
Well, can you remember too much?
I think she was
was
back
kind
all
of-
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she, because she was very, she always used to be sewing, she used to make beautiful things with embroidery, and a lot of nice cakes, real damn good cook, I shouldn't say that.
They used to make the favorite, well, we always called ourselves Belgium, you know, and their favorite food was noodle soup. My dad used to
The
make
homemade
noodle
noodle
soup and
soup
then
that
cut
you
them
roll
out.
out,
And we grandmas, and Grandma would make a noodle soup, and I would say to your mother, come on, let's go home. And Kay would say, we took noodle soup instead so we can have some.
And then one time, Charlie, I guess Uncle Charlie, my father's brother, he came home with some of these chocolate, ice cream filled chocolate balls. Go home, so I get one of those.
Yeah, she used to always make us, always stayed until whatever they had that was good, so we could have some before we went home.
And he looked at me.
Tell us about your father.
Oh, he was a peach, he was wonderful. He
Yeah?
used to walk, he worked in the South Station every day and every night. He walked home from the South Station, Andrew Square, all the time. You remember that? And I used
He
to meet
was,
him.
everything with my father was on schedule. He'd get up and go to work at a certain time, come home he'd get out of work about 3 o'clock, about 3:30 he'd come home, get into his bathing suit, go down to the beach.
Smoke a
After that,
cigarette.
Something happened at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then after 6 o'clock, he would sit down and watch his listen to his favorite programs on the radio. I'm thinking television, but it was radio in those days, you know?
And in those days too, we had to watch the baseball games all the time. We knew all the Red Sox because we couldn't go upstairs to do our home. Just kind of far away from everybody. So we used to sit there one downstairs where the radio was and listen to the Red Sox and the Braves.
We always did. We
Yeah.
grew up with the
we grew up with
Red
it,
Sox
yeah.
because we were very much interested, as much as my father was, you know? And it was just the girls that were interested in these sports, not the boys.
Do you like to cook and garden?
Oh yeah, it used to go to the Cosmos all the time. And those ones we called the Cleome now, but we call them something else. What do we used to call spider plants?
Oh, yeah,
We used to call it Cleome spider plants, you know? And he made a little golf place for us out there one time, right beside the house there. About 9 holes, we only went out there once or twice. We were going to put cans in those holes so you know it would develop. But that passed away. It's something I want to tell you that was so good about him, so funny. Why no? He used to clean the house so good that every time you look for a hat, it was thrown in a closet someplace where you never could find it. My window over that.
Oh, yeah.
Then one time I got a nice set from when I worked on the show of Brother Rat, a play that was playing at that time, and I was graduating that year, and all the cast from the backstage had their name on it, you know, and I was so proud of that. He burned it in the furnace downstairs with all the things, you know. That kind of organized.
How did Mom and Pa meet?
Oh, I know.
I don't know what.
I didn't know that, yeah. It was a blind date. She was supposed to go with her cousin.
I don't know about that, Debbie.
Yeah, she told me this. She was supposed to go with the first grade Annie, you know? And she didn't want to go because we were Tom Pearson. And Tom Pearson had a beautiful ring, which I lost. It had diamonds around it, you know? So anyhow, she didn't want to go on this date. And then after I became special. Put Tom Pearson. Yeah. But Tom Pearson, I don't know what happened to him. Sometimes I wonder. But she had a good life with my father, you know?
Well, when we were living at home, and we had a backyard, like your mother said. Pa had a lot of nice spider plants. Hi. There was also, hi.
that's right.
There was also grapevine out there.
Oh, yeah.
And every year, there'd be purple grapes.
Yeah.
And if you went and sit underneath that grapevine, you'd get hit with some caterpillars that would crawl off the grapevine.
And they're crawling up your neck and crawling through your head.
And then my dad would take up the grapes off the grapevine, and my mother used to have to make grape jelly, which she used to swear at because even though it hard to
She used to
you know?
roll the grapes through like a cheesecloth.
Yeah.
Get the sauce out of it. She's like, I hate this job. And then she used to make the soap, remember the soap?
Yeah.
Soap and lye, you know, in a big box. And they cut it all up for working on the house. But she wouldn't let us go near that.
She used to use lye.
Lye was supposed to be bad for your eyes, you know?
But it was for washing, get the clothes.
Yeah.
In those days, everybody washed their clothes, except my mother. She used to send her laundry out.
Then she used to cheat Pat out of the quarters, the gas thing, the gas.
Yeah.
Yes, and the
We had that gas thing that every time you ran out of gas, you'd have to put a quarter in. And then I would, at the end of the month, the gas man used to come around to collect the quarters. And if you put too many quarters in, he'd give you 3 or 4 quarters back, you know? And every time my mother would go down to see how many quarters back she got, to see how many quarters she got, I said, oh, how many did you get this time, huh?
But wait till I tell you this though, about how clean Pa was. It was always paint and everything. And then one time we come home with our friends, outside painting the house red.
And what?
It was painting the house red, remember?
Yeah, he painted the kitchen red.
Yeah, but it's outside too, it was painting red. We saw the house, remember
Oh,
that?
no, I don't remember that, Ken. I remember the outside being painted red. I just remember the kitchen.
Yeah, I don't remember red, but I remember coming home with Nancy and Nora and all our friends, and all of a sudden, oh my God, looks like a house is on fire. It was all painting them all red on the outside. But then again, too, what else did we do? Like blue in the kitchen, and he painted you in, I don't know.
Okay.
What do you miss most about them?
Both of them miss a lot. The love, affection, the feeling. The fact he treated Lillian and I like different than the boys, because we were always with him. We were there to help him, even down the stretches and things like that, you know? And we used to go to the store with him, remember going up Broadway? And walking home, taking the bundles home. We had a really good life when we were kids, really. Because we had our friends too. When we were in the first house, they were in the second house, and Nancy was in the third house. We had a club. What was it? A quarter a week we had to pay the treasurer. Nancy,
But what I remember about that home is it was always a happy home.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother had canaries, and we were always singing. My brother Joe used to sing all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was never many arguments between us. Whatever my mother told us to do, we did. If she told us to go to the store, Kate probably would say, I went the last time, Miss Love's turn. Okay, so then my turn, you know? So we settled everything amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And with no problems, you know?
But one time, she had me doing the outside of the stairs, and Lillian doing the inside of the stairs, remember? And she said we'd go to the show, we could time or something, go to the show on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And we had to clean the stairs down. And you used to get mad because I asked with the top of you. Oh no, you had to clean under the bed.
I had to clean under the bed, and she cleaned above the beds around the sides. And we used to have springs, you know, and my hair used to get caught in the springs because at that time I had a lot of hair. But the one other time, I had to clean upstairs, and my mother was downstairs, and to me, Lillian, throw the broom down. I said, okay. I threw the broom down and hit her right in the head. And boy, did she get mad. She never got mad very much. She did. She was funny.
Well, thank you, that was wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the funny things, you know. Now,
There's so much more we could tell you, but they go come to our mind all the time, you know. But we did have a good childhood. Especially Thursday nights when we had spaghetti. That was our big meal, Thursday nights, remember? Spaghetti. Every Thursday night we had spaghetti.
what?
Thursday night we had spaghetti.
Oh, that was another schedule.
That was a tradition.
Yeah, we used to have like a nice dinner on Sunday, maybe roast beef or chicken or something. Whatever was left over, we had Monday. And Tuesday, we used to have ham and eggs or something. Wednesday, we used to have beans and frankfurts. And Thursday, we used to have spaghetti and meatballs. And
And they had pork chops, and there was one between Lillian and I, one between Joe and Lillian. It's pork chops.
But we had some good meals, you know. Mom used to be a pretty good cook, except for desserts.
One time she Boston.
Got it now?
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's all done, Brendan?
No, it's still going.
Oh, well, it's just one more thing I want to tell you. One time when she thought she'd be as good as my father, my grandmother cook, she went into Boston. One of those vessels down the South Shore, they were giving a display on fricassee chicken with a new kind of a pot. So she went out to the home show and she watched them do the fricassee chicken and with the sauce and everything in it. And she brought it home. She thought she was going to surprise us all. We're going to say what a great meal, what a great cook. Everybody looked at us and went, no. She was so disappointed because that was a big thing for us, you know. Yeah. But that's just what I remember right now. Do you remember anything else?
Oh God, you can talk all day and all night about what happened when you were growing up.
Both sides of the family, you know. Ma said there was one beautiful aunt on her side of the family, on the Irish side. Mary, her name was. But Ma said she was a devil, you know. She asked me to steal an orange, you know. And when Ma went home, her mother took the orange away from her and brought it right back to Mary, said, don't do that anymore. But Mary, I guess, was a devil with the women too, you know. I mean, with the men. My mother told me. And she was the idol of the family at the time, sometime. That was Grandpa's sister, Grandpa Maloney's sister. So it's like, and then she used to tell me that Maureen's eyes were like her Uncle John's, the out west someplace. And she used to love to look at Maureen's brown eyes, you know. And so, I mean, that's the only time I ever heard any association to Maureen, except for what other people were saying, which never was true.
I'd love to talk about the old days, whatever happened years ago.
Well, you did take us to New York.
Huh?
You took us to New York.
Yeah, we used to go to other places. They had me saw Niagara Falls when we were very young.
We went up to steeplechase, you know.
When we were getting tired.
This is a lost story. Up that steeplechase in New York, you know, and when you get down the end of it, there was some kind of thing that was blowing up everybody's dress. And they were like this, and they didn't look at us. So we did have a good time. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful.
Let me know how the...
I'm going to try to copy it.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.